Hi again, this is Mel, and this is How We Homeschool. And now that we are done with our series on how to choose a curriculum or how to choose a homeschool style, I wanted to sort of get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of how we actually homeschool. Like, what does homeschooling look like for our family? And one of the questions that I've gotten fairly frequently is, how do we do it with 7 kids? Which is a fair question, because obviously everybody can tell I do not have the ability to multiply myself, so I can't give every kid 100% individual attention all day, every day. It just doesn't happen. So one of the things that we instituted fairly early on, my husband and I really wanted to pursue this, is the idea that as children sort of graduate up in a subject, they pass a certain level of expertise, and then they are responsible for helping hand on the information to the younger siblings. So essentially, you don't graduate from something until you try teaching it to someone else. Which, sometimes it works better than others. Obviously, we don't really expect our older children to be able to fully, coherently, and cohesively teach a subject to their younger sibling yet. They're all still relatively young. So we don't judge their ability based on whether or not the younger sibling actually learns the full complete lesson. But we do expect them to help out now and again. So one of the things that we did, I was recording this just as we went through our homeschooling day, just a few moments here and there. We try to include all of the younger kids in our circle time. So we do circle time I try to do it every other day, but it's usually a little bit more frequent than that, because they thrive better, frankly, if they are able to have that more individualized time where they get a little bit more focused attention from mom. They get to have a learning experience. They get to have a physical experience too. We usually try to incorporate physical activities and, felt boards or crafts or whatever as we have the chance, and try to fit it in with the lesson if we can. But we have the baby sitting in on those lessons just because, she's got to do something too. And she's learning from watching her older siblings. So she's kind of getting a bit of that school experience and how this works and learning the routine, even though she's really too young to fully participate. We've also got our middle daughter, who's now learning, really doing well with her reading. I have her helping out one of her younger siblings who's learning her alphabet, learning the phonics sounds, learning how to put all of that together. She's sort of piecing it together. She's not really of an age yet where she can focus on anything for a super duper long time. So that can be a source of frustration, but my middle daughter is actually doing really well with helping her out with that, just helping her along as she is able to, and when I don't necessarily have the time to sit down with her, that really helps out a lot. I wanted to say also that the experience of teaching really actually helps the kids as well. So it's not just a mom is putting off her teaching duties onto the kids. It doesn't really work that way. Another one of the really great dynamics that I like to take advantage of in our household is that my husband and I will occasionally do a unit study, a smaller unit study with our older children. And in order to demonstrate their mastery of a subject, as I was saying earlier, we will have them practice presenting the information on to the younger children. So in this case, I have an example of me teaching the older kids about Native American homes and geography, where those homes were typically located and why. And then they were responsible for completing their own dioramas as an example of different Native American houses, and then taking that and presenting it to the younger kids as part of their own lesson plan, which is really great.
Where do you find ice and snow pretty much year-round?
Pretty much up in that white area.
Up in the north, where it's colder.
And down there.
Yeah.
One really great thing about this is that it has the benefit of reinforcing the information in the minds of the older kids while still being like a really fun and interesting sort of first exposure type of lesson for the younger kids. And then we get to circle back to it later on, which is great.
All right, next is the longhouse. Which looks like a barn to me. Yeah, it kind of does look like a barn. Like barns were usually found like around here. Longhouse, no, not barn. Barn. Did I say barn? Yes.
Yes.
And of course, the more fun they can have with it, the better. We want everyone to enjoy learning in our house.
Usually found around here, and they were usually made out of sticks, grass bundles, mud, skins. Like they would take the skins off of animals and then make like very long tarps to cover the...
So to sum up, if you find yourself homeschooling a lot of children and you're trying to figure out how to make that work, definitely take advantage of the ability of older kids to teach their younger kids. It can help solidify the information into their minds. They get practice presenting or public speaking. They learn how to put together a well-ordered argument. It's really actually very good for assessing mastery of a subject so that the teacher, meaning you, know what needs reinforcing, especially in the absence of regular testing. So we don't do a ton of testing in our home, but we do tend to have them do presentations or papers or other projects at the end of a unit study in order for me to tell them how much they actually retained and understood from a subject. Occasionally, an older sibling can sit in for mom in lessons. Sometimes it's going to be, like in this project, just a fun first exposure to a topic for the younger kids. Sometimes it can be a pre-planned workbook page or activity just to help a younger sibling along. You're going to want to keep an eye on which personalities mesh well and when. Like it might not work on a given day, but typically like you might have a pair that work and can be very friendly with each other even while they're getting things done. Group projects or lessons in order to work out the one-room schoolroom style when possible will really give you a leg up so that you don't have to do each individual separate lesson with every single kid. This doesn't work for all subjects. So for example, we have several kids that are all on different levels as far as math, spelling, writing ability, but we can combine things for geography, for history lessons, and for science lessons occasionally. I just adjust the expectations for each child based on what they're actually capable of. But it's definitely a doable dynamic.